look how we can create this enemy, and this enemy animation we can see, as well as we're gonna add colliders to these fences as well as this house, so we cannot pass through this house and these fences. So without furthering delay, let's dive into this topic. Before we jump into the enemy part, what we want to do, we're gonna add some colliders to this house and these fences, so the player game object won't able to pass through them, or else our player game object can do that. To do so, let's select all of these houses, basically holding down shift in hierarchy, then move over to inspector, click on add component, and we're gonna add a component by typing polygon collider 2D and attach that. And make sure you just select all of these fences as well. So we're gonna select all of these fences by holding down shift and move over to inspector, and then click on add component, and we're gonna add a component by typing polygon collider 2D and attach that. And make sure your player game object, basically select your player game object in hierarchy, and then move over to inspector, click on add component, add a component something like box collider, and edit the collider as the size of your player game object. Now if I just hit this play button in the top, try to pass through these houses and these fences, player game object won't able to do it, because we added colliders to these game objects now, these houses and these fences. So let's have a look, and we cannot pass through these houses by now, and that's pretty fine. I hope you get the idea of this, that how you can just add colliders to do these things. So I'm gonna get out of play mode, and what we have to do now, we need to make the our enemy. To do so, what we have to do, we're gonna go over to project tab, then sprites, and then this enemy. So I already cut it individually, so what you have to do, you need to select the sprite sheet from that folder, select that, go over to inspector, click on sprite editor. You need to cut this individually, so that's why you need to select this sprite mode, it will be selected single, so you have to select this multiple and choose pixel per unit something like 16. Less pixel size means the larger the sprite just gonna be. And scroll down and it says filter mode, so you have to choose point no filter from this by linear, because it's you gonna see this will look like blurry, so that's why you have to select this filter mode to point no filter. And after doing all of these things, click on apply in the bottom, and then go over to sprite editor. In the sprite editor top left, you can see slice, so just click on that, and you can just select automatic and then click on slice, but it's preferable to select from this automatic to grid by cell count, and count how many columns and rows it has. So it has 8 columns and 3 rows we can see, so that's why put something like 8 columns and 3 rows, and then click on slice, and you're gonna see a apply button in sprite editor right over here. Click on that apply, and it's gonna cut your sprites, this enemy sprite, individually. So this is our slime enemy, so I'm gonna select the game tab right over here, and let's go over to that sprite sheet of that enemy and click on this arrow, and we can see individual sprite. So I'm gonna select the first one, so let's select that and drag it over to the scene view or in the hierarchy. Firstly, let's rename this to something like enemy, so I'm gonna call this one slime enemy, and we're gonna add some components to this slime enemy. First thing, we're gonna add a rigid body, and we will set the gravity scale to 0. It's not gonna fall down due to our gravity, so let's do it. So let's click on this add component and add a rigid body 2D by typing and let's click on this, and I'm gonna set the gravity scale to 0 and collision detection to choose continuous, and freeze the rotation about set axis, or else it's gonna rotate like this, so that's why I'm gonna set back to 0, and that is pretty fine. And let's add another component for collision detection, so let's add up a box collider or circle collider. I think circle collider just gonna be perfect, so let's click on add component and find by typing circle collider 2D, and let's edit the collider as the size of our slime enemy. So you can just adjust the radius, so I'm gonna go over to edit collider, and I'm gonna make the radius somewhere around, I think 0.55 is a perfect number. 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 0.55 perfect number, and that's pretty fine. And I'm gonna select this slime enemy and drag it top of my hierarchy so I can see this slime enemy. And let's make the animation. Now to make the animation we need this animation tab. So if you can find the animation tab, you need to go to window in the top, then scroll down says animation, and the shortcut key we can see Control 6, as well as the animator tab. So I'm gonna toggle it this animation tab over here underneath my scene tab, and we are ready to create the animation. So before you create the animation, make sure you just go to project tab, then assets, right click on assets, then create folder, and name that folder to something like animation. I already have created right over here, I have. So make sure you just do that and select your slime enemy game object, and then click on this create button in animation tab, and it's gonna redirect to our anims folder. So we will go to assets. In assets we created this animation folder, so let's open that up by double clicking, and let's create a subfolder for our enemy animation. So let's right click, then new folder, and let's call this folder to something like enemy animation, and double click that folder to open it up, that subfolder, and we have to name the animation. So I'm gonna call this one something like slime enemy underscore ideal, and click on save. And we are ready to create the animation. To create the animation we need to select the game object in hierarchy first, so slime enemy, and make sure you just hit this record button to record your animation. And we need to drag all of the ideal sprite or animation frames right over here in animation tab. To do so, let's go to project tab, assets, sprite, and this enemies folder. So this, I think this 5, this 6 frames is ideal, so we're gonna select this 6 frame by holding down shift and move it over to animation tab, and it's right away. And if we just click on this play button, we can see the animation. And the problem is that animation is too much fast, so we're gonna make spaces between this frame or between this sprite. To do so, let's select like this, and let's move it over to somewhere around 30. And now if I just click on this play button, we can see the animation, and that's pretty fine. And you can just click on this hit this record button one more time to capture, or you can just leave it like this, it's automatically gonna capture. So I'm gonna hit this record button, and we're gonna create the another animation, which is our chase, and also a destroy. Basically when this slime enemy game object loses all of his health, then it should play the dead animation clip. So we're gonna do in a fast way instead of doing this. So I'm gonna toggle it down animation tab in the bottom one more time. Let's go to project tab, and to create or to make the animation a pretty fast way, what we have to do, we need to select. So the next animation should be our chase, so that's why we're gonna choose the chase animation. So we have from here, I guess 3 6 over here. So we have 1 2 3 4 5. So we have 5 sprites, you can say 5 sprite of chasing. And to see that, I'm just gonna right click on this sprite sheet of this slime enemy, and let's click on properties, and it just bring it up. So we have chasing. Sorry, we just made a mistake. So what we have to do, basically this 4 sprite right over here is the ideal, and to make the animation pretty fast way, we have to select this sprite by holding down shift from that and drag it on top of this slime enemy game object in hierarchy, and it's gonna create the animation right or away. So we don't need to drag individual sprite in animation tab. So we will move over to assets folder. In assets folder we created this animation folder, so let's go there, and this as animation subfolder, and we're gonna replace this slime enemy ideal, because that was the wrong one which we created before, which was created before by us. So we need to replace this. So I'm gonna select this slime enemy ideal, and let's click on save, and then yes, I want to already exist. Do you want to replace it? Yes, I want. So let's click on this yes, and now we can see the animation right away. To see that, select the slime enemy game object in hierarchy and choose this animation tab and hit this play button right over here in animation. So we can see the animation of this slime enemy idle animation. Let's make the chase one as well as the death. To do so, we're gonna select for this is I'm gonna right click on this sprite sheet and click on properties. So we have from 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 8, so we have 8. So from here I guess this 4 sprite is idle. So from here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So from here, so hold down shift on your keyboard and select all of this sprite and drag it top of this slime anime game object in hierarchy, and it's gonna make the animation right away. So let's go to assets, animation, animation, and I'm gonna call this animation to something like slime anime chase. Let's call it slime anime chase and click on save, and let's create the date one as well. So we're going to select from here, so holding down shift from the last, we're going to select that and drag it top of this slice and slime anime game object. Let's go to assets, animation, and I'm going to call this something like slime anime death and death and click on save. And now if we move over to animation tab and select the slime anime game object in hierarchy, we can see and click right over here in animation tab, we can see death. So if I just click on this play button, we can see the death animation is playing over again and again, as well as we have the chase one. If we select and hit this play button, we can see. I hope you get the idea that how you can make the slime anime animation. And lastly, thanks for watching this video.